first of all, let us understand the background of the consolidated financial statements. Now, Section 2, Clause 46 of the Companies Act 2013 defines holding company in relation to one or more other companies, means a company of which such companies are subsidiary companies. So, in short, what it means is that, if X Limited and Y Limited, these are the two companies, and Y Limited is a subsidiary of X Limited, that means X Limited is called as a holding company. So when any company will become a holding company, obviously when that company has a subsidiary company, then only it will become a holding company. So that is what precisely this definition says. So when a company has subsidiary company or more than one subsidiary company, then this company becomes a holding company of those subsidiaries. Since holding company's definition is dependent on subsidiary company, we need to define, subsidiary company. So Section 2, Clause 87 of the Companies Act 2013 talks about subsidiary company. So subsidiary company or subsidiary in relation to any other company, whether it is holding or subsidiary, it is basically in relation to some other company. One company standalone cannot be holding or subsidiary company. When we say X Limited is a holding company, that means it is holding company of some other company. Similarly, when we say Y Limited is a subsidiary company, that means it is a subsidiary company of some other company. So that is why it is always in relation to some other company. So subsidiary company or subsidiary in relation to any other company, that is to say the holding company, means a company in which the holding company controls the composition of the board of directors or exercises or controls more than half of the total share capital, either at its own or together with one or more of its subsidiary companies. So in short, what it means is that if in our earlier example, Y Limited is a subsidiary company of X Limited, that means in Y Limited, X Limited is controlling the composition of the board of directors. So when can we say that, the composition of board of directors is controlled by the parent company? When majority of the directors can be either appointed or removed by the parent company, then it is said that the parent company has a control on the composition of the board of directors. So X Limited controls the composition of the board of directors of Y Limited, then in that case Y Limited will be considered as a subsidiary of X Limited. Or if X Limited is holding majority of the share capital of Y Limited, so more than 50%, then X Limited will be considered as a holding company, Y Limited will become a subsidiary company. Not necessary that, X Limited alone is, holding more than, half of the share capital of Y Limited. X Limited either alone or together with its other subsidiary companies. All put together, if they are, holding more than 50% of the share capital of Y Limited, then also Y Limited will be considered as subsidiary company of X Limited. So two criteria to be followed for any company to become a subsidiary company. A, the composition of board of directors is controlled by the parent company, by the holding company, or that other company, that is a holding company, is holding more than 50% of the share capital of this company. Then, this company will be called as a subsidiary company. However, prescribed classes of holding companies are not supposed to have layers of subsidiary companies beyond a number prescribed. If any number is prescribed under the Act, then beyond that, the parent company, the holding company is not supposed to have layers of subsidiary companies one after the other. When a company, say X Limited, is a subsidiary of Y Limited, which is subsidiary of another company Z Limited, then X will automatically become a subsidiary of Z Limited. Let us take an example that, X Limited is a subsidiary of Y Limited. So Y Limited is a holding company of X Limited. And then Y Limited is a subsidiary of Z Limited. So Z Limited is a holding company of Y Limited and Y Limited is a holding company of X Limited. That means, automatically X Limited will become subsidiary company of Z Limited also. X Limited is a subsidiary of Y Limited as well as now Z Limited. Now what's the relevance of this? Basically the relevance is that, when Z Limited is preparing its financial statements, that time Z Limited will have to consolidate the financials not just of Y Limited, but the Z Limited will have to consolidate the financials of X Limited also. So X as well as Y, both the companies subsidiaries of Z Limited. That is what this point means. So it is said in the language of law, subsidiary of a subsidiary is a subsidiary of a holding company. X Limited was a subsidiary of Y Limited. Y Limited was a subsidiary of Z Limited. So that is why X Limited becomes subsidiary of Z Limited. Now, when do we say that the composition of the board of directors is controlled by the holding company? We talked about it. When all or majority of the directors of a company can be appointed or removed by the discretionary powers of another company, then the composition is said to be controlled by that other company. Now in all this, wherever we have used the word company, it includes any body corporate as well.